On the first day of April 2020, Massive had a live stream to go over the recent suspensions that swept through the Division 2 community.
So we're now in the situation where yesterday, people who have had their account flagged with that activity, we won't go into exactly the numbers of people that have had that or exactly the numbers that have been used to detect that. But those people were given a 1-week suspension and a rollback to the 17th. Correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Many players had utilized an in-game method involving getting on and off of a turret repeatedly to tear through missions and kill everything with ease.
And I want to say this now, yes, we are aware that there's more out there and we're going to work on that.
Some took it a step further and brought it into the dark zone to grief other players. All right, I'm glad they got suspended. This issue is compounded because there is another bug that allows you to infinitely res the final bosses of missions where said coveted drops happen. And there's also a glitch uncovered that would allow you to make your Shade Watch level 1000.
There has been statements made after the fact about what will happen to people, because there's been reports of other ways to do similar exploits and that sort of thing. Can we be very clear about what will happen to people who do such things that are against the terms of service? I guess in both cases, if they have already had sanctions taken against their account or if they haven't.
On your first offense, as we now did it, you'll get a 7-day suspension. And if there's another exploit and you haven't learned from the first exploit happening and you're using it and you're getting a suspension, the next one can be a permanent suspension. That means you will lose access to your Division 2 account.
All of this news and how to utilize the bugs were made public knowledge by popular YouTubers who made how-to guides and general word of mouth. Before I get to why I think this is bad for Massive and the perception of the Division franchise, I want you to know that I never did the exploit. At most, I know it involves a performance-enhancing turret. I also want you to know I really like this game, but I'm about to get a little spicy because this just gets under my skin. First, let's talk about why some at Massive would think utilizing this bug is bad. These notes are based off a conversation a friend and I had. One, they believe it negatively impacts the gear progression game of Division 2. With so many bugs working together in the player's favor, I can see that philosophy, but I disagree with the banning aspect of it. When Destiny 2 players were able to clear raid bosses by pushing them off a cliff with grenades, they were guaranteed no less than 6 coveted drop chances per week from the raid. There was once a loot cave you could use to level your character to 30 faster. You can currently cheese ribbon with grenade launchers so you don't have to do the actual mechanics, and it gives you a faster route to the coveted 1000 voices drop. Not one single Destiny player was banned for doing any of those things. Bungie just fixed most of them because why would you punish your most avid players for hitting a level that you're going to up in a month anyway? It's bad business. When you decide to punish your players for a mistake you made, it creates a stigma of fear for doing something some people find fun.
So I've seen a lot of people on Twitter tagging me and on Reddit and everything saying like, oh, like it's they suspended like 50% of the player base. Nowhere near that amount, not at all.
Using glitches and bugs to raffle stomp your enemies can be a good time. It's a part of the power fantasy to do exactly that. Bungie makes an emote about it on Halloween, memorializing the occasion. Massive just forced players to stop playing their game. Number 2, taking this gear into the dark zone now puts you at the top of the leaderboards. Of course, you'll be the best if you basically have a free win button, right? Reset the leaderboards. That's an easy fix. Massive says they have a system that can detect those players. Taking their data off the leaderboard seems like a reasonable response. If they went into the PvP space with a performance enhancer though, yeah, then I think we all agree you gotta go, especially if you're griefing other players. All right, number 3, this could affect the raid race. If you win said race, your name is permanently engraved into the game. If the winner was crowned and it was later found out that they had been cheating, it would be embarrassing for Massive, basically. Again, looking at Bungie, they take the time to verify the team won legitimately. So if their shade level is 1000, if you use the same system you just used to suspend a large portion of your player base, I have to assume it will be good enough to disqualify a raid participant, right? So my friend does bring up some good points, but I do disagree with most of them. Maybe some of you are more on his side of the discussion. Some of you who replied to my posts on Twitter about this also brought up some good points, and thank you for doing that. But I really believe that at the end of the day, when you've added it all up, this punishment of the player base is bad for Massive, bad for the community, and will push people away even faster than the spongy enemies have. I really wish they would have asked why people felt the need to do this instead of asking if they let them get away with it. Maybe the fact that for a month players were glass cannons with almost no chance against your legendary encounters was a part of the reason they got to the point where they tried it. Maybe the lack in build diversity that you've admitted to on several streams and are thankfully working on is an issue to take into consideration. But no, again, Massive lands on punishing players. I hate that solution because it's the reason I left Division in the first place when they did it back in Division 1. Why would you ever go after your players for your bugs? I really thought they were past this after naming one of the most coveted exotics, Bullet King, a reference to a 2016 Division 1 boss that could be farmed for drops, a problem that apparently still exists in Division 2. When I have Destiny 2's history staring at me in the face, and I've seen how Bungie handled very similar problems with a laugh and a shrug of the shoulders, it really feels like Massive is simply being unnecessarily nasty to their own community, and I can't understand it. And what has that done in the community?
We're also seeing a lot of people that had no idea what that exploit is. We really looked at your account and what you have been doing with the data and the criteria that we had. So this gave us a very strong confidence on the suspensions because we could rule out that you were basically just caught in a random matchmaking group.
It instills a sense of fear from players about maybe doing something wrong. Some don't understand why they were banned and believe it's because they played with someone else who did it. And some have simply said they're leaving the game. Many in the live chat while they were doing the state of the game are especially angry that they watched their favorite YouTubers tell them step by step how to utilize all these advantages, receive no punishment. They profited off of teaching you how to do this and they can still play the game? That does not sit right with me. You won't send a cease and desist or takedown to them, but you'll punish Mary in Argentina for getting Bighorn too early?
We're very aware of everything that people are talking about right now. We see you saying bandwidths and all of these sorts of things. We won't spend all chat responding to all of those things. It just holds the content hostage. We have a lot to talk about.
I just can't comprehend how you got to that decision, but don't take a look at the facilitators of said information to the masses. So I guess it's cool if I show you guys how to do this next time. I guess I'll be safe because I'm on YouTube. They absolutely should have dove into that more on the stream, but they glazed over it, and I really challenged them to address that decision. And the reaction from the community has obviously not been great. Those that had interests for Warlords of New York are more likely to stay away. It's just bad marketing. Why would they sign up to be punished by a developer if they do something involving a turret? Why would a new player want to enter an environment like that? It doesn't help. There's a ton of misinformation on Discords about why people were banned and what happened, and Massive hasn't done a good job of clarifying their stance, to be frank. I give them credit for going on stream and bringing it up. That takes guts. They just needed to address those tougher questions that they were dancing around. And the chat was blowing up just saying, address this thing. The real final detriment to the Division 2 player base is that we have fewer people to play with this week, and many who were already worried about Massive philosophies, like this one coming back, have now being reaffirmed. They got the message loud and clear. Stay away from Division games, you might be banned. If you killed some legendary bosses, I think that's more on Massive, and they need to really look at their goals with their spongy, enemy-filled sandbox and how that drives people to use an exploit like this. Massive sat on stream and laughed about a legendary heal tank that literally couldn't die.
We're actually seeing things dying a little bit longer, in some cases a lot longer, than we would like.
Have you seen the support station GIF?
I have actually.
I have, yes.
And it became a meme on Reddit, but they failed to make the connection as to why some players would feel the need to power up. Or maybe they could look a little closer on the shockingly stingy loot pool. Is it normal to run the tardigrade farm on Heroic 50 plus times and never acquire the exotic chess piece? There are 3 named bosses in that mission who can drop it, meaning I theoretically have had 150 drop chances and still nothing. How long does that go on before the player base stops caring and says, yeah, screw it, I'm doing the boss farm, I'm going to glitch the game, I'm going to circumvent the systems, they're clearly not working as intended. I fully realize that you want the insanely hard content, but there are systems in your game that are actively pushing your players towards broken builds you've said you're going to need to nerf.
And it's no fun if only, if the best build is the holy trinity of the Hollow Man, Fox Spear, and Contractor Gloves, and a classic M1A and a Striker Shield with focus, then it's not really fun for anyone. So we're going to do our best to sort of bring up the underperformers and address the few outliers.
And performance enhancing turrets that they feel are necessary, because even you admitted your bosses are too tanky.
It's all intertwined. It's a delicate dance. When that one thing, TDK, gets off kilter, everything else kind of breaks down. Build diversity breaks down, like skills, healing, like all of that stuff just breaks, right?
That's my 2 cents on this one. If I got a little ranty, it's because I'm really having a blast with Division 2, and I get mad when I see great developers make anti-player choices that mean I have less people to play with. I don't think it's good for them. I don't think it's good for the players in the end. Fix your mistakes. I hope Massive can hear what the community is saying on this one and think about what it took for players to start using and spreading information. It wasn't because the game was in tip-top shape, I'll tell you that much. Let's hear your thoughts on everything that's been going on in the comments below. I'll see you next time. Bye.
We are very aware, oh, sorry about that the chat's going to be pretty spicy. I just want to make sure that you know that we need to make sure that things stay as respectful as possible. Hey, look, I mean, we respect our audience enough to do this stream, even though sometimes it's hard. We would just hope that you respect us enough to try and keep chat cool. Criticism is totally fine and warranted, but keep it constructive, be respectful, be cool, and we're going to have no problems. All right,